Welcome back to Garden Talk, brought to you by the Penn State Erie County Extension Master Gardeners. I'm your co-host for today, Mike Bailey, along with Ellen DePlacido. Ellen, good morning.
Good morning, Mike.
Hey, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think we're finally getting to tree planting.
Tree planting. Finally getting to tree planting.
Finally,
After
we've been talking about this between ourselves for a while.
Okay, and we touched on some of this in some previous sessions and stuff like that about how important it is to research things a little bit. So, this tree planting thing is a very important step. You do this once in the life of a tree, okay? You don't pull it out each year and replant it someplace else, okay? At least not most people. Okay? I've done it, but whatever. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to walk through some common steps about how you do this, and then we're going to get into some specifics about bare-rooted trees, balled and burlap trees, and container-grown trees. The three types of presentations, if you will, that we've kind of mentioned in the past. So let's start off with those common steps. Okay. First of all, know your tree. I hope you've done a little bit of research about how big and wide this whole tree is going to get and what its needs are going to be. And then the next thing is location, okay, which we've talked about before. Be careful where you put it. Don't put it too close to the house. Not too close to the curb, not under the wires, this and that, whatever, because somebody's going to trim it when it gets nice and beautiful. And the hole itself that you're going to put the tree in, what they say is, a $50 tree. If you can still find a $50 tree, you put it in a $100 hole. Okay, which gives you an idea that no, you don't skimp on the hole. You want to loosen up that soil. Okay, so that those small roots have a place to grow to. So, but you don't want to make that hole any deeper than the height of the root ball itself, because you want the flare of the roots, okay, to be at or slightly above the soil level. And you also want to plan when you're digging that hole, you want to make sure that that hole is probably typically about 30 inches wide in diameter, in general. And then with larger trees, you're going to make that hole a little bit wider. So don't skimp. And you want to loosen up all that soil within that 30-inch diameter hole. What else we got, Ellen?
Well, now that you've planted the hole, you need to place the tree in that hole and then step back, take a look at the tree, and kind of like do a style show. What's the tree's best side? And where do you want the best side looking?
You want to show your best side, right? Okay.
That's right. Right. So once you've placed the tree in the hole, then you fill that hole just about halfway with the soil that you've removed. Okay. Make sure you're using the soil that you removed. And at this point, you don't want to add any fertilizer or amendments to that hole. So then you soak the soil around that in that hole, and you allow that water or whatever it is to sink in. And then you fill the hole with the remaining amount of soil that you took out of the hole, and you water again. Okay, watering is very important. So then the next step, Mike, is...
Oh, you want me to pick up on it, huh?
Oh, sure.
Okay, fine. Mulching, okay? As far as... You really kind of want to mulch these trees for a couple different reasons. Number one, it'll keep the weeds down and keep the competition from the, taking moisture and nutrients from the tree itself. You also want to put that mulch out there because the biggest killer of young trees are string trimmers, and we've seen it over and over and over again. So if you have a good, radius of mulch around that tree stump, okay, it's going to keep the weeds down, and people aren't going to have a tendency to get in there with a trimmer and peel that bark off. But you want to keep that mulch away from the base of the trunk, and so that the trunk's not designed to be covered. Okay? It needs to be open. And then as far as staking the tree, you're only going to stake that tree if it's going to be subjected to some winds.
Right.
And then as you go throughout the growing season, you're going to probably want to water that 2 or 3 times a week. When I say water, I mean take a bucket of water with a couple of gallons of water, and pour it around the base of that tree. Don't stand on the porch with the hose and kind of spray it at the base.
Doesn't work.
It doesn't work, okay? Then you got to watch the leaves. And if the edges of the leaves start to turn brown, that's referred to as leaf scorch. And that's an indication of that the tree is not getting enough water. So watch for that. But as far as watering, you got to use your head too, because I know, Ellen, you've told me, you can't. People can overwater. People can take it to a different extreme, right? If it's getting really soggy, hold back on the water a little bit.
Right.
And then we have a planting of a bare root tree. You're going to walk us through that, aren't you, Ellen?
Yeah, I'll give you a few ideas about planting a bare root tree. And again, you want to follow some of the common steps that we've already talked about and place a small mound of soil in the middle of the hole. And then firmly pack that mound with your hands, making sure that it's kind of a firm spot, and put that tree right on top of that mound, and then drape those roots down around the sides of that mound, because you want to give those roots an opportunity to flare out. And that's why you do that. So you want to make sure that you do put that tree on top of that mound, drape those roots, and then continue with some of the planting instructions that we've just talked about refilling the hole and mulching and staking and watering.
Wonderful, wonderful. Then we got the bald and burlap trees, which you can buy at nurseries still. And again, you follow those steps in preparing the hole, as we stated. And then you place that tree in the hole with the root flare, again, just above or at the soil surface. And then, again, do the sideshow issue of making sure that the good side is forward. You do that with trees and or shrubs, because I don't want you to think after you got it all planted, I should have twisted it another 30 degrees. Not a real good time to think of that now. And then you want to roll that tree back and forth. You want to remove that burlap, okay, and or any kind of wire supports that are in there. A nursery might tell you, oh, yeah, that'll rot, that'll decay, that'll break down. Well, yeah, it will, but you want to have your tree get a good start right away, not in 2 years when that stuff starts to fall apart. You want to get a good start today. So, spread those roots out and provide a little bit of soil support if you need to, and then go back to our common listing of instructions of filling in with some soil, doing some watering, and then only staking that tree, okay, if it's going to be subjected to the wind. So one of the key things, okay, as we go throughout this first growing season is going to be watering, making sure that it stays moist, not flooded, okay, but it might take some watering 2 or 3 times a week. So, right. Ellen, it looks like we've used our time, but I think we've covered our subject pretty good.
Good.
So thank you for listening, everybody.